Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you all. I am super excited to be here today. I know personally that this particular topic, navigating with empathy and excellence, is something that I love. I enjoy it. And based on the comments, based on the response that I've received since I posted this event, you also seem to want to learn a bit more about this, and it is an interest of topic for all of you. So thank you so much for being here. If you're watching the replay, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're tuning in, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and repost this with a friend. I will get started right away. There's always this paradox between excellence and empathy. Excellence and empathy. Sometimes people misconstrued what excellence is, and we will discuss that. And then people also misconstrued what empathy is, and we will also discuss that. And how does that actually work in the workplace? How can we blend both empathy and excellence in the workplace, especially when we're living in such a time where things are either go, go, go? We hear a lot about that, right? We need the results. We need to know what's happening, as well as striving for excellence and doing our work in a from a place of excellence. And so today, a little bit of an overview. We're going to actually look at what is empathy, what is excellence, how do we put them all together, as well as how can we rate it? How can we know that we're actually implementing it with our teams? So you probably want to get a pen and paper. That's something that you may want to get to write these things down. I did do a PowerPoint. I do have a presentation for it, but for whatever reason, when I was uploading it, it wasn't looking good. Like it was all mushed together. So yeah, there is that. Now, what is empathy? Someone, anyone, please feel free. Put in the comments. Let me know. I want to know. But what is empathy? Empathy is the ability to actually understand and share your feelings with another person. It also involves putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and recognizing their emotions, and responding with care and understanding. Now, this obviously is the definition when we look it up of empathy. There are three kinds of empathy: emotional empathy, cognitive empathy. Okay. And the reason why that we need to look at the different levels of empathy, the emotional empathy, the cognitive and empathy, and the compassionate empathy, is because they all play a role. And this is what people are actually going through, right? We always talk about the emotional state. Emotionally, where are you? What level of compassion do you have? Like that level of kindness. And so, as well as your cognitive, right? That mental state, the mental level of empathy. What do they know? What knowledge do they have? And so that in itself, empathy is a huge topic. It's actually it's big. It's huge, in the sense that uh, it's encompassing the whole human, the whole person. And when you are a leader and you're trying to understand, okay, I want to lead with empathy, because there's all these buzzwords, all these talk nowadays about empathy, about compassion, about the mental health space. We need to fully understand what is empathy. And so I'll repeat that: empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, right? It involves putting yourself in someone else's shoes and recognizing their emotions, responding with care and understanding, right? You're responding with care and understanding. So that is the definition of empathy. And as I mentioned, there are three kinds: there's the emotional, the cognitive, and the compassionate empathy. And so when you're working with your teams, even when you're looking at yourself and you're looking, hey, I got to be empathetic with me, look at it from the entire, like the whole perspective. That, like, look at it from the whole, right? What is that emotional sense? What do they need right now? Don't forget, stay in tune later, because I'm going to show examples of this. because it's necessary for us to understand this from a whole perspective. Next, what is excellence? What is excellence? Someone, anyone, please put it in the comments. Let me know. I want to hear, what is your definition of excellence? Well, the standard definitions that I'm going to be sharing is that excellence is about achieving the best possible outcome and consistently pursuing improvement. So, excellence, just in short, a very short explanation, is about achieving the best possible outcome and consistently pursuing improvement. A lot of people, sadly, place excellence with perfection. They think if it's excellent, that means it always has to be perfect, and that is a misconstrued. It's a fallacy, right? Like their thoughts on that is just it's incorrect. Um, when we're pursuing excellence, we're always doing our best. You want to do your very best, and then it's being consistent at that. It's like anything that you do. Once you're consistent at something, you have mastered it, right? When people are like, oh, this is a master of something. Why? Because they've done it over and over again. They've consistently done it day in, day out, and they're getting the same results. So that is key, right? Excellence is also about setting high standards for yourself, for your team, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And so there is that also aspect of it that you have to look at. So you're doing your best, but you're also pushing and you're challenging the boundaries of what's possible. So you're always breaking those glass ceilings. Sometimes we see people and we're like, how did they invent this? How did they take this something that was of old and they innovated and they made it fresh, pertinent to our time? It is actually solving a problem. Wow, this person is a person of excellence, right? They strive for perfection. When we look at, or they striving for excellence, not perfection. When we look at Steve Jobs, and I was thinking the word perfection because Steve Jobs, rest his soul, he was always like, it needs to be this way. He wanted things a particular way. But he was continuously striving for excellence with the computer, excellence with the iPhone, excellence in every single thing that he's doing. And he was challenging his team. He was challenging himself. He was pushing boundaries. And this is why people remember him. This is why Apple is the Apple that we know today, because of the level of excellence that he was pushing towards. And I use him as an example because many people all over the world know who he is, and we cannot deny the work that he has done. And so when we're striving for excellence, we're looking at it not only from our own selves, but also in our team. And don't forget, I'm going to be later on in this webinar, I'm going to actually put the two together and I'll show you how your team can be successful in doing this, okay? Excellent is also acknowledging the value of perseverance, discipline, and dedication. I hope you got that right? Perseverance, discipline, and dedication. People don't like the word discipline. I don't know why, but they don't. But discipline is very important. Being able to persevere, keep going. You're doing it. Yes, I failed, but I'm still going to keep doing it over and over again, right? And you're dedicated. You're dedicated to the task at hand. You're dedicated to what you're working towards. Now, this could apply in any aspect of your life, in your home life, in your professional life, within yourself, without being burnt out, stressed out, and all of those other things, right? Because remember, it's excellence, not perfection. Right? Perfection will like burn you out, stress you out, and do all the other things that you're just. It's just challenging because we cannot achieve perfection, but we can always do our best and be in a state of excellence. All right. So there's that. Don't forget, if you have any questions, please put it in the comments. If you have a comment and you practice excellence and empathy as a leader, it's important. Put it in the comments. Let me know. I want to hear your thoughts on this topic as well. So How do we actually know or put the key elements of empathy and excellence together to drive growth, ROI, and company culture? I know many people are probably that have tuned in. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, it's going to be a soft, we're going to be thinking it's going to be an easy one. It's all heart centered and all of these things, but we still have a business to run. So, how do we implement empathy and excellence in our workplace? How do we implement it? Well, there are three key elements that I'm going to share with you so you can foster growth. You could drive growth, maximize your ROIs, and increase company culture. And the first one is foster an open and supportive environment. That is the empathy piece. Foster an open and supportive environment. That's where empathy comes in. When you look at any organizations who are in the top 10 of best companies to work on, they have an open and supportive environment. People actually like working there. They feel supported. They feel welcomed, right? The second tip is set high standards and lead by example. That is excellence. Setting high standards. We must set high standards. We must do things to the best of our ability. And if we recognize that, hey, I need improvement in certain things, then guess what? Get the training. Do it. Yes. Not yes. Do it. Okay. And that's excellent. And I share this because this is something that I've also incorporated in my life for many, many years. I see where I am at. I know where I want to go. Well, how do I get from point A to point C or point A to point B? Well, I got to setting the bar for me to get from one place to the next. If I want to evolve as a person, if I want to evolve in my career, if I want to evolve in my purpose, whatever it is, I have to set high standards for myself. And on top of that, I need to also lead by example. And this is why I'm continuously learning all the time. Every single year, there is something that I am working on. There's something that I am doing. There's something that I'm working to master or to understand a bit better so that I can be better. I can be more efficient, more effective in my work. And I would hope the same for you. If you don't have high standards, guess what? Your customers are not going to be very happy. People generally, want to work with excellence. They want to be around excellence. They want to receive excellent products and service. So set those high standards. The third element to implement to drive growth, maintain ROIs, and have a thriving company culture, you want to empower and recognize your employees. And this is where you're balancing empathy and excellence. So you want to empower and recognize your staff. You want to empower and recognize your team. So the first one is fostering an open and supportive environment, which is empathy. The second piece is setting high standards and leading by example. That's your excellence piece. And then you put it all together by empowering and recognizing your team, your staff. Okay. If you're in a bigger organization and you have your team of 20, 10, how many other people, I don't know, and you're there, well, you have to take it and bring it everything that I'm saying to your team. How can you recognize them and lift up their spirits? How can you find that balance while at the same time challenging them? Well, one thing that you can do is recognize, where are they going? When anyone joins any organization, if anyone's coming to work with you on your team, they have their goals. They know what they want to do. They already kind of have some sort of vision somewhere in their brain. They've probably written it down. They've probably shared it. Who knows, right? Your job is to figure it out. You have to go to them. You have to ask them, especially when you're doing your yearly reviews, right? Instead of making it yearly, guess what? Do it quarterly. Each quarter, you get to know them. Why? Because now you keep them on track. They feel empathy. You get to understand them. You get to learn them. They feel supported. And at the same time, you get to track their metrics. You get to track, okay, did they accomplish this? Where do they need room for improvement? While at the same time balancing the fact that they have their own life, they have their own families. Okay? And taking the time to spend with people each quarter is going to save you a lot of energy, a lot of time. It's going to reduce your turnovers, which is very important. And at the same time, give you the results that you are looking for. So that's one aspect in terms of empowering them and recognizing them. So they feel seen, they feel heard, and there is an actual an actionable steps that they can take. Now you're keeping them accountable for them to be able to achieve their goals, to reach the vision. You're taking part of doing that, and that is key as a leader. Many years ago, when the Chicago Bulls used to win lots of the NBA championships. I don't know how many people here watch basketball, but I know in my home at that time, my mom, my dad used to watch it. And so they're always saying, oh, the Chicago Bulls, they're going to win. They're going to win, right? Well, why? When we look at the leadership, Phil Jackson, yeah, his team respected him. They loved him, right? They were all good individually, but he brought them together. And you would see that anytime, and guys, go back, look at some of these old, in the 90s, right? Videos. When he was on the court, he would just be sitting there watching the game, kind of like a spectator. He didn't really have to do anything. He didn't have to say much because the team knew what to do, right? They felt supported, they felt encouraged by him. And at the same time, there was a high standard. There was a level of excellence that they had as a team. And everyone, when they were on the court, respected each other on the court. They worked together. And when they felt empowered, when they felt recognized, and all of these things, when it was balanced, they were able to win championships. Now I'm talking about, back in the 90s there. Most people are probably saying, why don't we keep it relevant to, 2025? But it's kind of different when you look at some of the coaches now. Yeah, some of them are winning championships, but are many people looking at the coach, or are they looking at the player? And when you look at teams, when you look at the level of excellence that they're at consistently, right? Their level of empathy and support for each other, regardless of what's happening in their personal lives, when they come together, you notice and you see a difference. And so start implementing the same thing. Be like that coach, Phil Jackson, right? Hey, when there is work to be done, people can do the work. They're confident, they're trusting. You've trusted their ability to do it. But then at the same time, you're not in their space. You're allowing them to be, and they are producing. They're driving that ROI. And at the same time, they have that company culture. They have that love for being in that place, in that space. They want to be there, not because it's just a paycheck. It's because they believe in what you are doing. They believe in the mission, the vision, the values of it. So as we go through this, how do we measure our level of effectiveness, our communication effectiveness? There are many things, many ways. I know many people have like different forms. They might give you one or two, but I'm going to share with you. There are six main ways that we can measure our effectiveness, measure our communication effectiveness, so we can navigate empathy and excellence in the workspace. The first one is your staff feedback and survey. That is your empathy piece. What does the staff want? What feedback are they giving? You have to be able to take good, bad, and different criticism and not take it personal. It's not about you. I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Could be hard for you to swallow. Get over yourself. You need to get the feedback so that you can grow. I'm going to repeat it. You need the feedback. You need these surveys, the empathy piece, to understand where people are coming from so that you can grow and so that you can foster a supportive community, right? People are thriving. You can maintain your ROIs and or exceed it because their feedback is pertinent. Remember, your staff is the one that's in the trenches. Essentially, they're kind of like the first line of defense. Wherever you are, even if you're a senior leader, that team, they're going in there, they're checking the data, they're doing the work. They are really that first line of defense. And as you're assembling or constructing for a project or for an outcome, whatever it is, they have to filter through and navigate through a whole ton of data, bring it to you, which of course you're going to put through. So they're seeing things and that you are not going to see, right? They have to filter it. And so because once upon a time you were in their position, this brings the empathy piece. And so they will be able to bring feedback because maybe they know some new updated version of or way to do something that's more efficient, that's going to bring more effectiveness, that's going to drive the ROI, that's going to drive the growth, that's going to make the customers happier. So that's why the feedback and the surveys are important. One, for you to understand how to be better. Two, so you can know how can we be more efficient. Efficiency, especially now, is key. We need to be efficient in order to be effective. We need to be efficient in order to be effective. Okay? And the employee feedback and surveys, that is the empathy piece. Number two, performance and productivity metrics. That is your excellence. That is the excellence piece. How is their performance? How is their productivity? How do you measure that? Well, yes, there's forms that goes out. We get to see each year, okay, what did you do? You give us our brag list. Some people used to call it, I know back in the day, it used to be called the brag list, right? What have you done this year? Well, instead of waiting for the end of the year, break it down into quarters, right? So then you can see and you can track their performance and their productivity. And they also are able to track for themselves their performance and productivity, not in a state of fear. This is not about fear, about losing a job or anything like that. In fact, it will help them in that sphere of excellence, because remember, performance and productivity is an excellence. And if we remember correctly, when I first started, I talked about excellence is about achieving the best possible outcome and consistently pursuing improvement. And in order to do that, this level of excellence, you have to do the regular check-ins. And then when you're doing the regular check-ins, and I'm just saying quarterly because no one has time weekly to do these things. Everyone's busy, and it's easier when it's spaced out after like 100 days or 90 something days to be able to track this. Then you get to see what is challenging. Where do they need support? Where do they need help? It may not seem pertinent. You're just thinking, well, the team is doing this. This is all they have to do. But there are people who struggle, and they will say, yes, I can do something. And really, they need help. Not that they can't do it. I mean, we all can do something, but are they good at it? And then the level and the quality of what you want people to be able to do. If they're not equipped, if they're not qualified, if they're not competent, I didn't even say confidence, competent in it, this is where the performance and the productivity will come down because they need that support. And so this is where you have to help them. Number 3, employee engagement and retention. Now, this is both empathy and excellence all at the same time. The engagement and the retention. Retention, how long are they staying there? Do you have a high turnover? Well, you got to work on that, right? There's something amiss, and you will know this when you do your through the employee feedback and survey. The other piece is with the employee engagement. How engaged is your team with each other, with you? How engaged are them? How are they? How engaged are they in their work? Are they excited for it? Not excited for it? Are they tired? What's going on? And so this is the blend of the empathy and the excellence piece, because with the empathy piece, now you have to understand what are they going through? Where do they need support, right? So then that in turn shows their level of excellence. Where do they need a break? Maybe this is too much. Maybe it's not enough. Whatever it is, right? So that's, you have to find that right balance. And so the feedback, regardless if you have a small team or a big team or you're running a whole company, you got to have that piece. And then, of course, your metrics, performance and productivity metrics, like putting these, that you have to understand that to be able to track and understand how engaged is the staff and the level of retention that you have. The longer people are working there, it's a good sign that it's a good place to work, especially if you are achieving the results that you need. Everyone nod yes, because it's true. Yes. Number 4, customer satisfaction and feedback. We've all been there. We all went shopping at one point, probably yesterday, maybe today. Who knows? You bought something, right? And at the end of it, there's always a customer satisfaction survey, a number that you will call. Maybe if you get one of the e-receipts, they will tell you, okay, fill this out and you'll get, like, you could potentially get a gift card or whatever it is. They need to know that the client is happy. And if your clients are happy, that means that, of course, you're getting good business. They're going to refer you. They will come back. You want people to come back. And so sometimes people might think, well, as a leader, why do I need to know the level of my customer satisfaction? Why do I need their feedback? Well, you do need their feedback because they're the customer. They're the ones that are ensuring that financially you can be sustainable, right? And beyond sustainable. And you can pay your team. So understanding the client's perspective is also good. Also, you want to get feedback. You need to know ways to improve. We all need to know ways to improve. So do not take the client satisfaction or feedback for granted. Quality and team interactions. This is your empathy piece. Once again, quality of your team interaction. How interactive is your team? Do they like each other? That's a key thing. Are they aligned? Are they in harmony with each other? They don't have to be best friends. We're not asking for that. But is everyone on the same page? Or is there chaos and confusion and disruption that's happening? Generally, when that happens, it's usually one person that's, backbiting, gossiping, something like that, and that person may have to go. But you want to have quality team members. And this is part of the empathy piece because it shares with you, you get to know the people. You have to know the people. And if you remember in the beginning, when I was talking about the 3 types of empathy, it's compassionate, emotional, and cognitive, which covers the whole being, the whole person. All right. So you the empathy piece and why I explained the three types of empathy, which was cognitive, um, compassionate, as well as emotional, is so that you can bring on quality people to your team. I will give you a really good example. I did an upgrade last year, last year, for my leadership certification. So one of the things I do always make sure, am I up to date, not only with my certification, but am I being the best I can be at what I do? It is very, very important. And we had a guest, Dana, what's her name? Dana Sinclair, who came on. And Dr. Dana Sinclair, and she's a performance psychologist. And she also has a book out that's called Dialed In. It's called Dialed In, Do Your Best When It Matters Most. This incredible woman, Dr. Sinclair, she works with like the NFL, the NHL, the what is it? I don't know what the baseball league is called, but anyway, so she works with these people, and she actually has to, not just her, but there are other people as well, other psychologists. Anyone that's going to be drafted on any team, now they have to go through these, they get tested, like these psychological evaluations, right? How do you take a loss? How do you take a win? How do you go through all of these things? Because teams want to make sure that when they're putting people together, they're putting a harmonious team together. They're not just putting a team of really, really great individuals who can individually do a good job and hope that they work. We've come to a point where we recognize people need to work together, and you need to understand where people are, where their mindset is at, because they could be really great at college baseball, basketball, football, hockey, whatever it is, or high school stuff, but coming into this whole other new realm in the professional realm, and then working with a whole bunch of other personalities, and then being able to have to relearn and train and do all the things that they have to do is very different. It is very different. And so these teams now are actually, they have like people on staff to be like, yeah, this person is great. This works well. They're balanced. They're this and that. And it's a continuous process. When we look at Kobe Bryant, right? God rest his soul. May he rest in peace, him and his daughter. When he went professional, even while he was in high school, he was consistently working, but he went professional. But he had to it was like every day was a new day. He was getting up to practice before practice started. He was staying after practice to continue practicing. He had to put in the work. He had to put in the time. He had to work on his mental health. He had to see himself as a champion, but at the same time be humble and then be able to lead. And when something happened, or they lost, or whatever it was, he had to take a look back. And he talks about this. If anyone paid attention to it, right? So you have to be able to recognize this. And this is how you can measure your metrics, and you can measure your level of effectiveness and the quality of your team interactions. People don't like to hear this, but it's looking at the whole person in the empathy aspect of it, and making sure that, hey, if this person's joining my team, how are we going to mesh? Lots of companies, we have the 90-day rule. Let's see how it goes for the first 3 months, because within the first 3 months, actually in the first 30 days, you're going to know, one, if the team works together, how that person works, et cetera, et cetera. But then you give them 90 days because sometimes it can be nerves and so much more. And finally, how do we measure our effectiveness as a leader? How do we measure our communication as a leader and its effectiveness? Well, by achieving the achievement of long-term goals, which is excellence. Do we always hit our long-term goals? Not just the short-term ones, the long-term goals. So you saw the blend of measuring your effectiveness as a leader, as someone, your level of communication, by blending the empathy and the excellence piece. And sometimes both are together. I will rename all 6. You want to have the employee feedback and survey, empathy, performance and productivity metrics, Excellence. Employees engagement and reaction. That's empathy and excellence. Customer satisfaction and feedback. Empathy and excellence. Empathy and excellence. Quality of team interactions. That is empathy. And achievement of long-term goals, which is excellence. So I will leave that there for today. I thought that we have learned a lot. There was a very good understanding of it. If I have missed anything, please put it in the comments below. I absolutely want to hear your feedback. I definitely want to know how you navigate empathy and excellence in a real and tangible way, not only within yourself, but within your team, in a tangible and a real way so that you can get results. This session was designed to help you not only become better, but it was designed so that not only you could understand it, but that you and your team can grow stronger, that you can get the results that you're looking for, so that you can have that nice balanced approach that you need. It may sound like a paradox, but it is absolutely 100% possible. And there's work that needs to get done. And yes, not yes, you can do it. I believe in you. If you have any questions, don't forget to reach out to me, connect with me online, send me a DM. And may you have an incredible week ahead. See you next week for another episode of B2B Live. Bye, everyone.